Oh, come on. Please, come on. No. All right, why is it not doing my other feed? Oh, okay. Oh, come on. Is it not doing right? I thought I toggled it in over here. Okay. Well. Oh, man. All right, you guys. If this is live, give me a 5x5 and let me know. I apologize, you guys. A whole barnyard full of animals. The only one behaves is that one chicken. For some reason, it wasn't showing the farm on the screen that I had. As you can see, I don't look any better than I feel. Thank you. Okay. Does anyone want to toggle in and have a meeting? You know, it is what it is. Let me put the link here. It was showing the farm. Okay. Yeah, on the screen that I had on my phone, it was just showing the background fireplace thing. There's the link to toggle in if you'd like to. I would love that, Rebecca. I would love that. Thank you. Okay, so it was showing the farm. All right, thanks, you guys. Thank you for your patience with all this, my Atlanta. So I've missed a lot in the chat here. Found the new one. When you say toggle in, do you mean come in as a guest? Absolutely, Tara. That's what I mean. Yeah, just click on that link I just put in the chat here, And yeah, if that's what you'd like to do, sometimes it's easier to talk about things than it is to type it out. And Rebecca, just so you know, I can't see or hear you yet. The sun is nice to see. It's been dreary here. Well, good. Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I guess you can't hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Hello,
There's Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Sorry, other browser. Apparently, I don't know. I don't feel good today either, and so
Really?
it's just a day. And I thought if needed, I'm happy to help lead, and I'm glad Ben's here. You can go offline if you want, or just take care of yourself, please.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that this was going to be such an ordeal, this surgery.
What did they take the bone graft for, if you don't mind me asking?
So that I can get an implant without it going into my nerves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering why they took the graft, and I thought, well, maybe.
Yeah, what they do is they were putting in some kind of material that the bone will graft to and grow around. That's the idea.
So they're gonna put a post in, and then
yeah. Otherwise, it goes into the cavity. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have a lot of bone loss. My teeth are great. I've only had 2 or 3 cavities in my whole life. But my gums were the problem. I have major gum disease, and it was causing my bones to decay. Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I managed to fall off a bunk bed and hit right there, and it pushed my 2 front teeth up into my nose, or right at the base of my nose. One of them came in, the other one they couldn't get in. So then I just wish they had just pulled it and just left it at that. But they came up with this bright idea. We'll uncover it. Okay, so they uncover it, took all the gum away, then they put in braces, and they're trying to pull it down. And all it did is it pulled all the other teeth up. So then they removed it, and they gave me a fake tooth, and I was doing the high hurdles, and I managed to kick that out. And it's like, wow, that was fun. But if you can't do something, if your life can't be an inspiration, let it serve as a warning. That's my job.
How are you, Tara?
I'm okay. Thanks for asking. I just realized I don't have my headphones. So can you hear me okay?
We can totally hear you.
Okay, right on. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, to be honest. And it's like, I feel like embarrassed to even admit it. Everything's what's that?
I understand feeling that way, but you don't have to feel that way.
You say you're in a safe place. We're happy to help.
Yeah, I know everything's fine. I'm like, everything's fine. There's nothing weird going on. It's almost just like I've been like back when I was using before I got clean and sober and drinking. It was like I was so used to that chaos, like, and everything being all weird, and now everything is like pretty in order, and I feel more or less in control of like the activities in my life, and it's a scary thing. I don't know. So we kind of just became acquainted with each other, and I don't want to like bogart this whole conversation by just dumping
all my. If you need a meeting, that's what it's for. We let people bogart here.
Okay, yes. Right on. Yeah, I'm new around here, so thank you for letting me come on. I have been delivering for Instacart for a couple of years now, and it's given me flexibility in my schedule. It's given me freedom to work when I'm feeling good and to take time off when I need time off. And I just got offered a job in peer support, which is exactly what I've been wanting. I'm going to be starting sometime probably in the next month. and it's only 10 hours a week. It's not even a big commitment, but it's like
Okay.
one thing on top of everything that I'm doing right now. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's like there's nothing bad happened whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I am getting ready to start my labor cycle, so there's that. But I feel like I don't want to overwhelm myself and push myself to the point of burnout.
Right.
And I think that's what I'm most scared about is like I'm juggling a lot of things. That feels really good. I've made a ton of progress and I see my growth over the past few years since I've entered recovery.
Mhm.
I think I'm a little scared that I'm going to burn out if I keep going at this rate.
Yeah. Yeah. You had mentioned chaos. Are you afraid that you're kind of slipping into that again, or?
It kind of feels similar to that, where it's like everything's going so fast and I want to be everywhere and participate in everything and be a source of support to people. And then it's almost like I almost feel like I'm not attending to my self-care as well as I was in the beginning of my recovery.
Okay.
And I know in terms of peer support, like that's a huge cause of burnout is lack of self-care.
Yeah. Are the 10 hours spread out in a certain kind of way, or?
Yeah. So I'm going to request to work. I go live on YouTube on Mondays and Wednesday nights. And so I'm hoping, and I want to stick to that schedule because it's working. I'm hoping to add the part-time job in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays so that it can go around and I'm not doing too much.
Yeah.
But that I
Okay.
can stay busy and productive.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're not like mad at yourself or anything like that for overcommitting?
I'm not mad at myself. I think I'm mad at myself for being upset. Like, because nothing is wrong,
Mm.
There's also some other things that have happened like in my personal life that I would like I don't want to broadcast publicly on YouTube, but just like some things with friends and people talking about people, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this, it's hurtful to feel like, like I try so hard to provide support. I go out of my way to like be there for people, and so sometimes it feels like when people like take jabs or it feels like a knife going into your back. And I think that's actually what's going on. And it's like, gosh, am I putting too much effort in the offering support category at my own expense? If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense because that is, I mean, you're looking a little, at least you're indicating you're a little unsure right now. And then, I mean, that, and of course, it's one of the things that, oh yeah, it's one, you'll know this. It's one of the things that they teach lifeguards is that you have to you have to make sure you're saving yourself first, or else you're not going to do this person a bit of good. If you
Right.
drown to save them, I mean, because then you're both dead.
Right.
But
Is it just anxiety maybe because it's new a little bit, or is it something else, do you think?
In terms of the part-time job?
Yeah, the new addition that's being made.
Well, that makes me want to cry. Your question, I appreciate it. It's a loaded question. Since we're just getting to know each other, I'll just say that like I've been exploited for labor, and I hadn't even thought of that before, but I'm just like recovering from that. And thank God I started receiving payments on a project that I completed in 2020. That was a really hard thing to go through, to do work and not get paid for it. I was promised the world.
Yeah.
And completely had the rug pulled out from under me, had to leave the situation with nothing. And it's been a couple years. I was getting ready to take him to court, and gave him a courtesy notification that I was going to sue him, and he ended up paying me. So he's making payments on what he owed me, but it doesn't really receiving that money hasn't been as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. Just
because of the blatant disrespect
Yeah.
and the abuse.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been working with a therapist for the past couple of years to get to the point now where like I am excited about this job. I think it's going to be a really good fit. I know the people I'm going to be reporting to. I get along with the person I'm going to be reporting to. But Rebecca, I think you asked like a very critical question because
That makes a lot of sense.
I wasn't even aware, because I just feel like it's going to be a healthy situation for me.
Yeah.
And 10 hours is manageable.
Yeah.
But I think probably just everything that I've been through already is like, even though I thought I'd resolved it all, I'd work with it or work on it with a therapist, it's like all kind of coming to the surface. And another thing, if I can add another kind of
Absolutely.
another thing is that my nurse practitioner recently told me that one day I might be able to use marijuana responsibly.
Okay.
And it was alcohol and marijuana were my drugs of choice.
Okay.
And honestly, I was so excited when she told me that. And then at the same time, it's like, I don't know if that's a door I want to open again. Like it could be a very slippery slope for me. It's no time soon. Like I still need to focus on my mental health and I'm undergoing treatments and things. But that kind of threw me for a loop, and my brain's been doing things like, well, maybe you could use responsibly. Maybe you will be able to have a drink someday responsibly. And it's kind of messed with my brain because I've been so focused on abstinence for the past few years. So I think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Sure. So it almost feels a little bit, does it feel almost like a betrayal that she said that? Or do you think that would be a term you would use?
I don't know if betrayal is the word I would use, but like maybe an oversight, that like maybe maybe it wasn't a good time to throw that into the mix, because it has messed with my head.
That would. If somebody told me that I could drink again, that because I didn't have a problem, it would mess with me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have enough trouble with my self-talk on that, even 29 plus years in, I was just realizing today that, anyway, we're talking about you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can share your experience. I would love to hear about your experience.
Well, I chose to go into an extreme religion situation after 7 months of AA because I just felt like it wasn't going to work for me long term. And that eventually led me into a cult. And so I've kind of been dealing with a little bit of imposter syndrome because I didn't do recovery. I did stop drinking, and it's been almost 30 years. And I stopped doing all the drugs that I used to like to do the drugs with the drinking, And I realized, though, I got out of the cult in 2009, and I moved back here in 2010. And this was kind of like here being Northwest Arkansas. And this was kind of like moving back to the scene of the crime. Everywhere I look, I can see things that I did when I was using, and there was, and I realized today, as far as addressing the imposter syndrome, I chose not to continue to use. Even though I was fully out of the cult, there was nothing keeping me from it. And so my head started going into all kinds of mental gymnastics, It's what we do.
Mhm.
Is
And
this something you can kind of maybe put out of your head for a little bit? Just going, maybe that's in the future, but maybe that's 5 years in the future. And does that help at all? Being it like maybe telling yourself that?
Yeah, I think now that you're asking, you're all making really great points, and this is helping me quite a bit actually, because I think because my life is getting more and more organized and productive, and I'm achieving more, I'm helping more people. It's like there is that thing in my head that's like, well, if I get too well, then it's going to be my decision if I can go get loaded again. And so I think your point is a good one. Like maybe I should push it out and say, I'm not going to make that decision regardless of whether my depression diagnosis gets lifted, my PTSD diagnosis. Like if all that stuff gets lifted, then still, it's 3 years out until or 5 years, or 5 years feels like a really long time, and that's a scary amount of time to commit to.
yeah.
But
And I'm wondering if you ought to go ahead and tell that nurse practitioner how this is kind of messing with you.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a good
It would
idea.
mess with me. There's no question.
Mhm. Okay.
To have a medical professional tell me that, it would
Yeah.
mess with me. It would send me into a spin. I would spin out.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know that I'm not alone here. And I love my nurse practitioner. She is like my
Yeah.
hero. She's done so many great things for me. Like she's the one who I get my ketamine treatment from, which has really been a game changer in terms of
Right.
my ability to manage things and show up and
Yeah.
do things like YouTube. So I have a lot of respect for her.
Yeah.
I think I could. I think she already knows, that probably wasn't a good thing for her to say, because the next time I saw her, she was like, and just so you know, like we already talked about, the time isn't now. It's like far in the future. But I have been having cravings the past few months, and I asked her about it. I keep bringing it up, and I don't want her to think I'm digging for approval, but I had to tell her that I'm having cravings. Like I really want to use marijuana. Like, and we tried a mental health med to help with that, but it wasn't a good fit for me. It made me feel drunk, and I had to stop taking it.
Yeah.
So I'm just really sensitive to meds, but I was open to taking something because I think cravings are really dangerous.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of, so I already committed to 2024. I have a friend, his name's Kevin. He has a channel called Kickin' Addiction, and he's hosting a no alcohol 2024 challenge. And so I signed up for that. And so it's like, all right, regardless of what happens with my mental health, because I feel like I am approaching a point where I won't meet the criteria for the diagnoses anymore, which is what I've been working towards.
Right.
And that's super exciting. But it's nice to know that in my head, I've been able to wrap my head around 2024 as being another abstinent year, no marijuana, no alcohol, nothing.
Yeah.
And that's manageable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That seems like a good goal then. Do what works for you. If 1 year works, and then you can deal with the whatever happens, toward the end of 2024. You can decide what you want to do for 2025.
Let me ask you this. When you were using, were there times where you were using marijuana without drinking?
Yes, I actually stopped drinking in October of 2020.
Okay.
And the marijuana I stopped April of 2021. So there was a period of, and I was like, I hadn't taken a drink for 6 months before that. I had 2 shots in Mexico. And so it had been like a year, except for those couple shots in Mexico, that I had stopped drinking. But my addiction transferred, and I was smoking way more.
Okay. So how was your life? How are you managing your life during that time?
When it was just marijuana.
Yeah.
Well, that's when I went to work for the farmer on a marijuana farm. That's where I was exploited for labor.
Okay.
And I was smoking a lot because I was working on a marijuana farm, and I mean all day, every day.
Yeah.
And when I left, he could only pay me in flour, in product, and I was taking that for a little while and just smoking all of it,
Yeah.
um,
Wow.
rather than selling it. When that was a whole thing, where I was like, it was kind of a wake up call to me. I was like, I could get arrested for what I'm doing
Yeah.
right now. This is
Yeah.
not legal. And I was living in my car. Like, it wasn't a good situation at all.
No. Okay.
And so that I ended up throwing up a flag and asking for help, and I got sent to a crisis stabilization unit.
Yeah.
And from there, I put myself on a 23-hour hold because some things had happened, and I couldn't afford to get away from a situation I was in because I wasn't getting paid from
Right.
the guy I worked for. So that's when I asked for help, and I was placed at a safe house where I lived for a year. They required my sobriety. They tested me every week, and that's actually what catapulted me into recovery,
Okay.
was living at the safe house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not managing well, just smoking marijuana.
No, I mean, I thought when I started working at that farm, it was like my dream come true. I thought I had won it big.
Mhm.
But then after a couple months, I realized I was in big trouble.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think you answered your own question really about whether that's something that, do you like your life right now?
Yes and no. I do like my life right now, but I also have yet to engage in certain activities
Okay.
that I used to really love. Like, I started rock climbing again in my recovery, but in a gym. I haven't put myself in a situation with people outside because I'm really afraid that I'm going to be offered something, because it's really common for rock climbers to smoke while they're out. And
Yeah.
so I have, same with surfing. It's really common to smoke a joint after you get out of the water. And
Yeah.
so I like to think that the types of people that I will attract and be attracted to will be different
Mhm.
now that I'm clean and sober, but I haven't had the courage really to put myself in those situations because I've been protecting my sobriety. And
Yeah.
for that reason, I think I find myself glamorizing when I was using, because I was going out and having a lot of fun
Yeah.
and adventuring, and now I don't do that anymore.
Could you start or maybe find a sober group to do those activities?
It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. It's been suggested to me to go to like AA meetings and say, I'm looking for a surfing partner, I'm looking for a climbing partner.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, it's like I haven't wanted to go sit through meetings to get to that.
I understand that.
It's like I've been to so many meetings,
Yeah.
and some of them are good. Some people I really enjoy listening to. And I
Yeah.
know the book talks about, if you don't like a meeting you're in, to contribute, like find what you can contribute to the meeting.
Yeah.
I just haven't been able to pull myself or like put myself in the meetings
Mhm.
lately.
Have you ever been to a Smart Recovery meeting?
I never have. I'm open to it.
Yeah. They're getting, I mean, we have them here in two places in Northwest Arkansas, so they're bound to have them if, on the West Coast. I bet you might find some people there.
That's a good point. I started with Smart Recovery, actually. I was like creating my profile online, and then the director of the safe house that I lived at happened to knock on my door in that moment. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I told her, and she's like, "Oh, Smart Recovery, like she's a huge AA goer. And
Yeah.
so she brought me to my first AA meeting, and then I was in AA like devout,
Okay.
3 meetings a day sometimes for
Oh,
the first
right
18
on.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Smart Recovery is something that interests me. So now that
Yeah.
we're having a conversation, I might need to check it out.
Yeah. They usually have a handbook at the meetings that you can get hold of. And I can't find my copy of my handbook right now, but there's a lot of good stuff in there and a lot of good exercises. But really, just I really liked the people when the time changed. It made it to where I couldn't get the chores done and go to the meeting because they start at 6. So I'm hoping as the days get longer that I'll eventually get to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked the people that I encountered there.
Right on. Do you get a sponsor in Smart Recovery?
That I don't know. I only got to go to like a few meetings before the time change.
Okay.
But I think that there's probably enough people there that have been to AA and know how that's supposed to work. That that's something that I should ask, but it'll be a while before I can get to a meeting. I could do an online meeting and ask. I don't know the answer to that.
That's okay. Just curious.
Yeah,
I think
I mean, that would be the ideal, you know.
And Christy says, I like the friends and family in Smart Recovery. Very insightful.
Yeah. Yeah, she's read it a few times here and it's been good. Hi, Kimmy.
Hey, Kimmy.
So yeah, you might actually find some people that maybe they're in the same boat. They have been afraid to get in those situations, and they really miss it. There's a lot of surfers. There's a lot of different kind of surfers. There are surfers that are, straight edge. I went to church with a bunch of surfers, and not, I was in a cult with some surfers. Like there was a lot of surfers in my cult. So, they're somewhere to be found,
Yeah. Yeah. I know they're out there. I think it's just like I realize that my brain is doing, like you said, mental gymnastics. It's trying to knock me off of kilter, like the disease. I don't know if you refer to it as a disease. I don't really know how I feel about that these days either.
I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand why some people use it, and I think it makes sense when some people say it, I understand what they're saying, but I don't know. I just feel like I am getting better, and I think based on what I'm hearing you all say, it's like I'm probably scared of getting better because then it's like I have this decision to make about if I want to stay clean and sober, and it's terrifying to me because, as you heard, I wasn't in a good place when I was doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
I also wonder though, like if I could use responsibly now that I've got a few years of like substance use and mental health recovery both under my belt. So, but to your point, Rebecca, I don't have to make that decision today. It's like not something.
Yeah.
I'm committed to 2024. I'm very good about following through when I make commitments. So,
no sponsors in Smart Recovery, says Shell, one with cats.
No sponsor in Smart Recovery. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to yell at my dog here. Sorry.
It's all good. Well, you're doing great. You really are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It doesn't feel that way, but I hear what you're saying and I accept it. It's just hard to believe. It's hard to believe it, I guess.
I get that. I get that.
I find it weird how I can feel that way toward others like you, that I can see you're doing amazing work and I mean it. Yet when it's me and I have to look at myself, I don't turn that inward as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I am afraid of things working out too, because it's changed then. And then I have to make other choices and those are scary.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, almost to the point of paralysis, it feels like,
Yes.
uh-oh, what do I do now? Yeah.
Mhm.
Starting a life new and really figuring out who you are is a big thing. Yeah, because you're figuring out who you are, not who you are with all these other things.
Mhm.
And that's not always an easy journey. If it was easy, there would be more sober people.
Right.
And as Kirsty says, remember you're not alone.
Yeah.
And then she also says self-acceptance can be difficult and success can be very scary. Those are valid feelings.
Yeah. Scary to step out on your own, but you're not alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That has come up in therapy for me before too. So Christy, I appreciate your comment. It's come up in therapy that like I'm afraid of success. And so I probably need to talk with my therapist more about that because like
Yeah.
I don't want to be afraid of crushing it.
Yeah.
You know?
But, one of the biggest things about using and drinking is self-sabotage.
Yeah. Right.
That's a big part of it.
Right, especially the way that I have engaged with it. I always go overboard. I mean, it's an all day, every day thing. I drink till I black out. I drive drunk. Like, I do not make good decisions.
Yeah.
And I don't stop until I'm blacked out and I don't remember stopping, So it's like,
Yeah.
why would I even, it blows my mind that I would even entertain the idea of going back to that. But
Yeah.
then there's the devil on my shoulder that's like, it will be different this time.
I personally did not relapse. My rehab was through a Catholic Charities,
Mm,
and I did not want to go back to rehab, and I felt like church gave me another thing to focus on and obsess over. Where was I going with that? What did you just say?
the devil on my shoulder is saying, just do it.
Yeah, that it'll be different, but a lot of people who have relapsed have said it's always worse.
Of course, yeah. I've heard all the stories, and like I'm thankful I haven't had any slips. No, like I've been clean and sober without any slips for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
I'm not at 3 years yet. I know I no fronts. Like I know it's April 2nd. It'll be 3 years.
Okay.
And that feels, I'm really proud of that. That feels really good. And thank you. I don't want to compromise that at all.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, thinking about, okay, after the year is over, let's say that I could commit to 3 years. That seems almost doable with where I'm at in my recovery. 5 years is like, no, that's too long, But let's just say, for sake of the conversation, that I make it 5 more years, and then I'm faced with a decision. It is scary to think I might make a decision that could completely derail my life and change all the progress that I've made. But I've also heard people say, like, once you actually recover, like, there's no desire to want to engage in substance use. So can you speak to that? Like, do you ever have cravings anymore? Do you ever desire getting loaded?
Yeah. I've actually been in a crisis situation, like in the last few months.
Okay.
Like I desperately wanted to, drink. I realized, and I didn't know where it was coming from. It seemed to just hit me from out of nowhere. And then I realized I had a bucket list thing when I was drinking, and I wanted to try this certain champagne. I'd see it in the liquor store. That we had a really nice wine store next to where I worked. I was a hairdresser at the time, and Perrier Jouet, And that was a bucket list champagne that I never got to try.
Hmm.
And because I didn't know, I didn't even really want to drink hard liquor or anything like that. And so then I just had to start kind of renegotiating with that bucket list thing and figure out a new thing to replace it on the bucket list. And but I just really wanted to, just to see, am I truly an addict here? Or was it circumstantial? Because I had a lot of mental health problems that I was trying to self-medicate at the time. And so it's been a nagging question over and over in my head. And but you know, I called a meeting and we all met here and people talked me down from the ledge. Here, right here on this channel.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know, there's really nothing to be gained from it. So most of the time that's true. But when it hits you upside the head, it can be a doozy. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
but it's short term, more than likely. If you've got any sobriety under your belt, and clearly you do, you've probably gained more tools than you realize to
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Christy says you are self-aware and evolving.
Aw, thanks, Christy.
Pup Groomer says, I've been clean 25 years and still on the very rare occasion when I'm so totally overwhelmed, I want to get high. Luckily, that feeling is fleeting. That's it.
Hmm.
You know, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's, you know, it's just a thought process that your emotions can get caught up in, but you can call a meeting anytime. You know, that's what this place is. It's needing a meeting. I need a meeting.
Hmm.
You know, and if you want to send me an email, I have my email is needing a meeting recovery, and say, I need a meeting. Me and you can have a meeting either on a private Zoom or here, or, you know, if it's to help other people, we can do it here. And, you know, just know that you're not alone. You're not going to be alone in that time.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
It's really nice to meet your acquaintance and to be getting to
Meet
know
you
you
too.
all better. And a resolution or goal, I guess, that I have for 2024 is to build a stronger support system. So it feels really nice to feel that from all of you, everyone in the chat, everyone on this screen right now. I just want to appreciate you and express some gratitude for taking the time.
You are welcome. Oh, and Christy also said, Carol, I remember that. Perhaps, Tara, you can watch it and see if something stands out to you. If you remember when that
It's kind of painful to watch, but it is what it is. It is what it is, you know. Nagging questions eventually, you know, come to a head, and mine did that day, you know.
Mm.
And
Do you remember what day that was? What need a meeting that was?
it was shortly after I started being able to go live on Restream.
Okay.
I can find it.
Because I was going to say, then Tara, based on what Christy said, you could watch it if you choose, if you want
Right
to.
on. Yeah, it would be helpful, I think, to see that. Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to throw up a flag, you know? It's hard to tell on yourself
Yeah.
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah. You know, I mean, imagine how embarrassing it is having 29 plus years and having a crisis over it.
Mhm.
It was embarrassing, but I figured, you know what? I've heard of people going back out after 20 years.
Yeah.
I've heard of going back out after several years. And none of us is immune, you know, we're all just one bad step away from being there again.
Right.
And so that's why peer support is so important. it's a huge part of our recovery. It just is.
Yeah.
Christy said, I've had several private meetings with Carol and she's amazing. And I've had one little meeting with Carol and it was amazing.
Thank you.
And then Uppers Recovery says, resist the devil and he will flee. Oh, James.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mom.
Okay.
I know Uppers Recovery. That's
Okay.
his name is Morrison. Hey, Mo.
Okay. All right. We had a guy that came in here and started abusing people in the name of Jesus. And I was like, oh no, not that guy again. So sorry. I apologize, Uppers Recovery.
Oh, okay. No, I
Sorry.
know Mo. I know Mo. He's all right. He's all right. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the cult that makes anything that kind of, I mean, at least for me,
Yeah.
the cult portion
Yeah.
of my background makes
Yeah.
anyone who's too preachy
Mm.
traumatic
Mm-hmm.
and potentially triggering.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. One with Kat Shell. Couple of thoughts. Why would you be embarrassed by having cravings or intrusive thoughts? It's human. That's true. That's true. And, and it was enough of a crisis that I called a public meeting, So there was something to, at that moment, I just needed to show the world my humanness. I'm not infallible at all.
Well, I think society.
Also, it's not telling on yourself. It's asking for help when you are feeling weak and need some guidance.
And actually, I think that's a sign of strength to ask for help when you need it. But our society doesn't necessarily smile on or always treat people who come out with a vulnerability very kindly. So I think maybe that also is why sometimes I feel weak and don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also like wanting to be a source of support for other people makes it that messes with my head sometimes. Like I'm supposed to be the strong one. I have 3 years. Like I'm supposed to have this figured out, and but we're human, right? And like you said, nobody is immune to making a bad choice that could put us all the way back at the start again. So.
And those feelings, I mean, we didn't become addicts just out of the blue, So it is going to try to rear its ugly head every now and again, But there's no sin in or there's nothing to be embarrassed about showing your weaknesses. If anything, it lets people know, oh, okay, so I'm not alone in this, either, That's the main thing, is that it lets people know they're not alone. Because those are our sick little secrets. They talk about in AA, we're only as sick as our secrets. And those are our sick little secrets. And so I took the power away from it that day that I called a meeting, and it was very powerful. How are you feeling?
I feel way better than I felt. I mean, I still feel a little off kilter, a little not like myself, but I feel way better than I felt when this started. So thank you.
Right on. Yeah. You may have almost 3 years, but stuff is going to get thrown at you and your feelings are going to change. Life circumstances change, etc. And society can kiss all of our asses.
I saw that one. That one made me laugh. Yeah. And I know, I think we're already 10 minutes over. I know you normally end it at the hour. So I don't want you to feel like you have to stay, because I feel way more stable if I use that term.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah.
Right on.
Is there still stuff you'd like to talk about? Because I can hang back and chat if you need it.
I think I feel okay. I feel like it was enough. I mean, I could vent, but I don't think I need to do that. I think probably my journal is the best place space to do that since this is a public forum and anybody can see it. I think we talked about the heavy stuff, which really boiled down to, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do when the time comes to make that choice? But what I got from this meeting today is that I don't have to make that decision today.
Yeah.
So just put it in the parking lot, just shelf it for now. It's not doing me a lick of good to think about what I'm going to do in a year or in 3 years or in 5 years.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason they do say in AA, one day at a time. All those cliches. Okay, so they're cliche, but they're true.
Yeah, it is true. And one day at a time has gotten me this far. So
Yeah.
I'm just, you know, with the job starting and everything, I think there is a level of feeling overwhelmed with the job based on, you know, my history that I told you about. But I think ultimately what it boils down to is that I feel terrified that I'm going to find success, be like stamped with like a stamp of having recovered from my medical care provider, and then be like, all right, now I have the freedom to do whatever I want. But I don't think that's the best thing for me, to be entertaining that kind of thought process. It's really overwhelming, to be frank.
Yeah. And it's counterproductive, you know. I don't know that any of us ever gets fully recovered in that sense. That, I mean, some people have told me that they were able to go at it hard with drinking and then just go back to drinking this one thing. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see. You know, I mean, it's not for me to say, but it's just a matter of, okay, well, I hope that works for you. I know it wouldn't work for me.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And Christy Colwell says, please feel free to reach out to me anytime if you need to. And, One with Cat says, my guess is that you probably won't be able to incorporate anything you overuse, so it might be helpful to assume going back is a no-no for now. Then if in a year or 2 or 10, you can revisit.
Yeah.
Now it's a no.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just put it out of my mind. It's not something that I need to think about today or tomorrow.
Well, or even if if you can't put it out of your mind, you know what I used to do when I was at that point where I was back here in Northwest Arkansas, where there's a liquor store pretty frequently, you know, there's a bar pretty frequently. It wouldn't be hard to figure out where to go. And, you know, I would take myself on a journey, even to the point of deciding which liquor store I would go to or which bar I would go to. And I would allow myself in my mind to take those drinks. And then things would start getting fuzzy and foggy as they did when I was drinking, you know, and then the only thing that I could assume is that I'm in a ditch now at the end of it, you know, and that seemed to help me at that time, you know, just allowing it to go ahead. Okay, you stupid thing, go ahead and play it out, you know, and yeah, there was never anything good at the end of it. Never any place I wanted to be. Because I know where I ended up, and it was definitely not good. I was couch surfing. I had lost everything, you know, like family heirlooms, you know, tragic stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good technique. I think I learned in AA, they call that playing the tape forward.
Okay.
Where you visualize, I hate to even think about visualizing something that doesn't turn out good, because I think our visualizations have a lot of like power.
Okay.
But to be able to think ahead and be like exactly what you're saying, you know, like, okay, where was I actually? Like, I didn't move into my car because I was down on my luck. Like, I quit my job with 2 weeks notice and decided to take an adventure. You know, I moved out of my place responsibly, and I wanted to take an adventure and go do all the things that I was talking about earlier in the stream. And one thing led to another, and then I ended up in this situation where I was being taken advantage of and I couldn't afford to get out of it. And so it wasn't all bad. I lived in my car for 5 years. It wasn't all bad. It was a lot of fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want more for myself at this point, because I know what it was like. Even though there were a lot of really fun moments, there were a lot of really low moments too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to go back to that. And I'm glad I don't have to think about it any more than beyond today. I appreciate you bringing that point up, that it's just for today, one day at a time.
Just for today. Yeah, just for today.
Just for today, I'm going to stay clean and sober, and I'm going to do that every day in 2024, because I already committed to that. And that brings me peace. Like, I can actually think about, and I told a group of people this actually in a different meeting. I feel like I've made progress and it's gotten easier now that I'm approaching the 3-year mark. Like, I could have never committed to an entire year my first year. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't even commit to 6 months. I literally didn't know if I would make it to the 6-month mark.
Yeah.
And thought about leaving the safe house that I was living in several times, but I did make it. And now I can actually think and conceptualize and commit to an entire another year, one day at a time. So that's progress.
That is progress. You know, and it's important to remember the progress you have made, you know, because every bit of progress you make, you know, you have a potential tool right there in your hand. You already made it through this. You made it through 6 months. You made it through a year, which you never thought you could do.
No.
So that's amazing.
It is amazing, actually. It is amazing that I made it that long. I couldn't even go an hour, you know, without something before. So
Wow. Yeah, I would definitely have a conversation with the nurse practitioner so she doesn't bring it up again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Christy said she's 20 minutes from home. If you want to stay on, she can do a meditation if people are interested.
Well, that's up to you. That's totally up to you. I'll stay here and hang out, but it's totally up to you, because I want to respect your time. You're already well over your time. So.
And how are you doing,
Carol? I've called a friend to help me with the chores, because I can't lift anything heavy for 48 hours. And I can't bend over and do that stuff. So I'm going to have a friend come help me with the chores, because my husband's getting ready for work. He works tonight starting at 7. So he can't help me on Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday night especially. He worked last night 16 hours and he's sleeping, and he'll get up and do another 16-hour shift. And so Jason should be showing up here any minute. And so I'm going to go ahead and put it back on the farm and let you guys hang out, if that's okay.
Right on. Thanks so much, Carol. I really
thank you, Tara.
Appreciate you and value what you're doing here.
I love getting to know you.
Likewise.
Yes.
All right, you guys.
Oh, and one with cats said the other day when Carol did, or when Christy did the meditation, she was in the bath, so she was naked during the meditation. So just a little levity to brighten things up a little.
Well, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
After you.
Well, I was actually going to ask a question to y'all. Because I asked Carol and her take on it. I'm curious if y'all have had similar experiences where thinking long term about your sobriety, you were wondering if you could ever go back to using responsibly.
I'm actually a normie in respect to that.
Lucky you.
But I have been hooked on nicotine. So, but yeah, that's
okay.
That and I'm very codependent, but you know, the stuff we were talking about last night on your channel with the whole empathy thing and going into that. That was the big reason for that. But yeah, I did put myself in a dual diagnosis center, and there
Oh,
were
you're
a lot.
that, Ben. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am just putting that together. I didn't realize that was you. Right on.
It's really fine. There's quite a few bends out there. We grow on trees. But yeah. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for addicts. I could see myself easily falling into that
Mhm.
beyond more than just nicotine.
Yeah.
It is interesting though. That was one of the things I noticed in that center was, I mean, there are people in there for everything from Coke to alcohol to everything imaginable. It was so interesting to me how much more everybody smoked in there because they're trading, and I guess it's just a nervous habit of trading one addiction for the other.
Yeah.
That one being legal. Only one Ben Turner, thank God. Oh, but
And I fall as a normie too, in the sense that drugs and alcohol weren't, but that's because I was afraid of those. So
Mhm.
intentionally never did that. But but I've had other addictions. I'm trying to get rid of the sugar one,
Mm.
and I got off it for a while and I'm adding it back. And then there's I keep following the dopamine high portion because of and I have depression, anxiety, lots of trauma.
Mm.
And so doing things that fall under that. So spending more than I should and buying fabric that I don't need because it feels good to buy the fabric. And it falls under something that I think society counts as something legal, but it's not healthy for me.
Right.
I don't have the retirement savings I'd like to have. No, I have a pension for work, but I don't have the savings that I would like to have because I've spent some money on fabric that
Mm.
actually. So just there's other things that have been my addictions of choice.
Sure. Well, I would imagine that with both of those, with nicotine, codependency, and also with the sugar thing, like the sugar thing, that's something that I could see a parallel because on one hand, like eliminating it was probably, I would imagine, a good experience for you in terms of
I felt so much better. My brain felt better. My body felt better. The pounds that I had put on with just kind of started to melt away without me really trying very hard.
and
So
then
much
on the
better.
other hand, there's probably doctors and people, nutritionists who will tell you, well, there's a level of sugar that can be healthy for you and types of sugar.
Yes.
So I think that's similar. That's similar.
And actually, it was a little frustrating yesterday because I just had an appointment with one of my doctors who doesn't have, it's a pulmonologist because I'm long COVID, but telling me like different nutrition stuff. And I'm like, she doesn't know that I can't eat this. I can't have this in my house.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not even an option for me. And which I kind of assume probably is somewhat like people who can't have the drug or the alcohol. If it's my house, I will eat it. And so I have an addiction to food and what's the word I'm looking for? And comfort foods, eating the stuff that makes me feel better and stuffing emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Using that as it's kind of this is the problem with long COVID, and I'm super fatigued today. It was not my greatest day physically and kind of emotionally, but so the words are not coming very well. But yeah, it was kind of like my security blanket that I would, do whatever, we're having mashed potatoes or we're having macaroni and cheese because that feels good. It's comfort food. But yeah.
That makes sense. And Ben, I see a parallel with what you were describing with the codependency, because it's like, okay, well, there's a level of unhealthiness with respect to relationships that are too codependent. But then on the flip side, we need people. You know, we need social interactions. We can't just say, well, I'm just not going to interact with people anymore, and that'll solve my codependency.
Little bit. No, but that was the big reason why I chose the career path I did, was I didn't have to deal with people. And to me, the whole empath thing was just too much. It's just, it was to the point, and I kept, my mother was a bit of a hypochondriac, and I came upon that honestly. But yeah, I started, oh my gosh, am I schizophrenic? Because my favorite example, you're sitting in a meeting, all of a sudden you feel angry and you're looking at somebody, all of a sudden you feel sad and you're looking at somebody else, like, what the hell is this? And, thinking back, okay, yeah, I was always like this as a kid, like, holy crap, I'm schizophrenic. Go see a doctor. No, you're not schizophrenic. Like, yeah, I am. You just suck. You don't know what you're talking about. So go see some other doctor. You're not schizophrenic. Yeah, I am. You just suck. It's like, okay, you all suck. And eventually I would find one that would probably agree. But yeah, that was the thing. Was just I didn't know how to deal with it. So I chose a technical career. I keep hearing this high-pitched whine.
Like a beep. I do too. I'm not sure what it is.
I thought it was just in my head. I thought it was the voices in my head.
No, I think it's my phone. I keep getting text messages. Let me put it on Do Not Disturb, because I think it's me. I apologize.
No worries.
But and it wasn't until just recently I worked at, I don't know if you ever heard of Chase Hughes. He's on the behavior panel. But he's a neuroscientist, and I was able to get with him and able to work through it. So now I'm finding that I want to work with people again. But I'll keep doing what I'm doing because I have so many reps in it. Besides, it beats. I don't know. At this point, I've done it for so long. I'm okay with it. I mean, there are worse career paths. But I am so thankful I didn't become a police officer, because that would have been horrible. But so what? I've been meaning to ask you, the career thing that you're talking about doing. Of course, I'm pointing at you like we know which one of us you're talking about. Yeah. But Tara, you were talking about Tara. You were talking about what was the career thing that you were talking about?
Are you asking about peer support?
Not the peer support, but there was something you were talking about that you were doing. It was some kind of card or something.
Instacart shopper, wasn't it?
Instacart. What is
Instacart? Yeah, I used to do Instacart. I still could, but I'm getting money from that other job that I completed. So Instacart is a service kind of like Uber Eats.
Okay.
Except for it's with groceries. So I would go to different grocery stores, or sometimes like Sephora, and do makeup shopping. Sephora is nice. They always had it ready for me. I just go in and pick it up. But places like, I don't know if y'all have Ralph's or Kroger or
okay.
I've heard of them, but I know what you mean. I use Shipt, which is probably similar.
It is similar, yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I was going to redo it this year, because I got COVID over a year and a half ago, and I had been given a Shipt membership because of the whole COVID, and I knew that I was potentially higher risk. I'd gotten that for Christmas the previous year, and then ended up needing it so much during the time when I was sick, because I needed somebody else to shop for me. I didn't have the energy to do it. I still don't have the energy really to do it.
Right.
So I pay somebody and tip somebody to shop for me. So I'm thankful for people like you that do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a few months since I've done any kind of Instacarting or Uber Eats, but it really did serve a really important purpose in my life. And it worked out great for my early recovery, because like I said, I wasn't open to having a boss and reporting to somebody, and my mental health wasn't stable enough to where I knew if I was going to feel up to working that day. So it gave me a great opportunity to allow myself to be flexible in my scheduling. And in terms of the payout, in my humble opinion, I think Instacart pays out the best compared to, like, I've driven for Lyft, Uber, I've delivered for Uber Eats. And in terms of the cost benefit, or like the pros versus the cons, you know, like I put a minimum amount of miles on my car with Instacart, which with Lyft and with Uber, I put a ton of miles on my car. And people tip well for doing grocery shopping. So Instacart for me was the best solution. I definitely recommend them as a company.
Because I had heard from somebody who did, I can't remember if it was Shipt or if it was Instacart, that, and maybe that's just a Minnesota thing, because that's where I live, that not everybody tips, that there's a fair amount. And I'm thinking, you can't live on minimum wage. You can't survive and pay rent and do all the things on minimum wage. So my tip is one, you're doing a huge favor for me. And then I kind of figure it's helping somebody make a little bit more livable wage, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what they get paid, but I have to assume it's minimum wage-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. Instacart, actually, well, I live in California, and there were some laws that were passed, I think in 2022, where if we don't make minimum wage with all of those different rideshare and food delivery apps, that we have to be compensated for that difference. So like I'll get bonuses sometimes, which isn't really a bonus, because really it's just putting me up to minimum wage. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like for a while, we weren't getting even minimum wage. Sometimes I got better at being able to kind of decipher what jobs would pay decently and which ones. Yeah, it's like if I'm getting a request to do a delivery where I have to drive 15 minutes, but they're only offering me $3.50, like I'm not going to take that. That's insulting, as a matter of fact. That doesn't really happen with Instacart. I don't ever remember feeling insulted by an Instacart offer. It's more some of the other apps that I've experimented with.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that if I add to my order, I can adjust the tip at the end. It used to be you could adjust the tip portion during the entire time. So I could have added, 5 things to my order and then immediately adjust the tip so that I was paying at least 20% on that. And they changed it, so now you do it at the end. But I've got a couple frequent shoppers that I love and that always do my orders, and they're amazing. But then I kind of think I'm fairly easy. I tell you what my alternate is.
Yeah.
Here's what I want. Here's my alternate.
Yeah, I love it when people would pick replacements because you never know. Like most people like to get replacements even if they didn't select one, and so Instacart prompts you to select something. But not everybody likes replacements. So I have gotten some complaints, even though I'm doing the job that Instacart, like I'm doing what Instacart wants me to do by selecting something. So, but yeah, you can't please everybody,
No. And I've had mistakes, but they were very rare. And people are human.
Yeah.
I'm not like going to get mad at somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You could
wonder
have said something, oops.
Right. I wonder if one day it'll be like Amazon drones doing the grocery shopping or something like that so that there's less mistakes. But
Maybe. I don't know. But
yeah. I'm wondering, so I see, Christy, your comment about Carol bringing you on. She's not here, but I'm wondering if you have access to the link. I think it was posted. I see the link was posted at, it was 2:39 Pacific Standard Time, and it's not too far back in the comments.
I think she was able to click on the link, but I think there's something that Carol.
Carol has to.
Yeah, and
go into a waiting room.
I'm
Christy,
not seeing anything.
You may need to text her, or I can text her if you prefer.
I have the link. I just can't come on screen.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything saying, oops, what's this? No, that's that's a horrible screen to see. Some guy was looking at me. But yeah, I'm not seeing.
Ben? Was his name Ben?
No. It wasn't
okay.
that weird. Wasn't that weirdo? It was a different weirdo. He's got more of a receding hairline than I have. Carol has to accept. Okay. Lord Kiss Freak.
I was just busting your chops, Ben. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings.
Oh! Heck. I wish I had something like
Ben, you kind of laugh it off, but as an empath myself, maybe not to the level you are, you can laugh that off, but I know you care. just calling you on it just a little, because you have an amazing sense of humor.
You do.
I do really appreciate your sense of humor.
Well, yeah, I have nothing to say to that. My sense of humor gets very dark, though. You wait. Someday I am going to win the lottery 5 or 6 times, and I am going to hire a lab, and we're going to develop the ultrasonic weapon to develop the brown note. That's the note that you can supposedly aim at people and cause them to lose control of their bowels. I'm either doing that, or else I'm aerosolizing a laxative, and we're going to do some crop dusting. We're going to have some.
Wow. Okay, the screen game is starting to make sense now.
Yes, I'm going to be
So
super villain.
who are we going to crop dust in this scenario?
Good
Yes,
question.
that's my super villain superpower that I'm going to develop, and they'll be sorry.
So are you going to do everybody or just the people that are kind of evil, narcissistic, manipulative, maybe? I don't know.
Well, at this point, I like to kind of think of it as like a palette to choose from. I'm thinking Phoenix just because Phoenix. I mean, the Phoenix, who's our football team? Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. Anybody deserves to have loss of control of their bowels. It's them. So I'm going to start with them. State government, come on. Department of Motor Vehicles. I don't think there's anybody in existence that thinks that the Department of Motor Vehicles is not deserving of this. But no, there was a chip. What was it called? I think it was fat-free Pringles that they had for a short time in the United States. That stuff was pretty scary because if you ate, Americans, we don't eat.
Was that the anal leakage one?
Yes. And apparently the stuff it would cause is stuff that it wouldn't happen within an hour, 2 hours. Oh, no. It could come back and hit you like a week later. It was like, wow. Like, that's like, oh, man.
Was that like Sun Chips? I remember this.
Yeah, that was.
I can't remember what it was, though.
They're fat-free. Yeah, it was their fat-free. Yeah, the things were just completely evil. So yeah, despite me wanting to, do things like fill pinatas full of refried beans or, cream corn and things like that, and hawking with trebuchets. Oh, trust me, what I want to do is nothing in comparison to what the FDA's already put us through. So, it says if I can't come on, if you all want to go, that's fine. I didn't think to have her toggle me on before I got home.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Tara, you're beautiful. Yeah, we knew that. Olestra! Yeah! There's sub to
okay,
Tara's
yes.
channel. Explosive diarrhea. Sudden and unexpected explosive diarrhea. That's like an inner tube filled with water. Yes, Olestra. Yes.
We'll pass on that. So it looks like, I don't know if people need to go. We could do box breathing. I'm not as good with the meditation like Christy does, but I could lead us in 3 box breaths.
That would be a good. That's a. I mean,
fat-free gummy bears.
In terms of like putting a pretty bow on something, I think box breathing would be a good way. I always enjoy the meditations at the end when I tune in.
I do too. I do
Mhm.
too. So let's start by relaxing and
Shaking. She always has us shaking out first.
yes, thank you. Shake the shoulders out. Take yourself to your heart space and relax. And then breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. And breathe out for 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Let's breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out for 2, 3, 4. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. So I hope that helped a little.
That was great. You did an awesome job.
You did good.
Thank you.
That was something I did a little bit of, but I'm really afraid to try it on people who are living, you know. So,
Like
yeah,
meditation, you mean, or?
it's the kind of thing where the exposure I've had, I think it makes me more dangerous. Not dangerous as in like.
Well, and I
Yeah.
have had some like meditation class, and I've done some yoga and some of that other stuff. So that's the only reason I do the 2, 3, 4. So I help myself count in my head.
Yeah.
So I normally do that non-verbally.
Yeah, that was the kind of stuff I got into was like command statements, confusion statements, a little bit of hypnosis, like the gorilla hypnosis stuff with come on, what's the guy's name? He's a comedian. He actually does it for PTSD. Not Richard Berge. Oh well, I can't remember the guy's name.
It'll come to you when
Spidey.
we're done.
Yeah, it'll come to me in the middle of the night. Spidey's another guy who's I've done some stuff with, but not with, no, from, not with. That gives me the wrong impression. I've never done this on stage, nor will I, because I'm going to win the lottery 5 or 6 times first.
Okay. Fingers crossed for you.
But I'm sorry, Tara. I probably scared the living snot out of you.
I'm not scared at
No,
all.
you're from California. What am I thinking?
Yeah, exactly. This is par for the course. You know?
There's nothing I could do or say that would. Okay.
Oh.
You got a public door for peace.
I mean, yeah, it could be an interesting goal to have. Like, I welcome anything you want to throw at me, you know?
It was so good seeing y'all.
It was. And Tara, I love you have a smile and you look lighter, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
And yes, please. I look forward to seeing you again and having you join us.
Right on. Yeah, it was a pleasure being here. I see the comments coming through. Hey, Kingdom Within. I actually know him too. Someone who said one with cats said, "Wow, Tara, I see a huge difference in you. You're beaming." And that's so thoughtful. I feel much lighter. I feel way like a huge level of relief. I felt really heavy when I first got on. And I mean, you saw me tear up and like,
yeah,
I've had some tears that came out, but
I was tearing up for you.
Oh,
it hurt. I know.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you both and Carol taking the time to sit with me while I went through that. And if I could, I feel like I want to share like what I went through today. I think was a critical part of my recovery process. Every time I go through something like this, I realize how important it was for me to tell on myself and ask for help. So I know Carol's not here, but like Carol, if you see this, I appreciate you making the space and taking the time to have me on, because it really did make a difference. And I've got things that I wanted to do with the rest of my day, and now I feel like I can do them and face them and not feel so like overwhelmed. So it's a huge help. Thank you very much.
You got this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Great.
I'll head out. DJ is next to me, giving me a little bit of the stink eye because she wants her food.
Right on.
So I'll go feed her. I hope you guys have a great evening. And everyone in the chat, I wish you all love and support and hugs. And I send you all the support in the world.
Yeah.
So I hope you all take care.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate all of you.
Bye.
You take care and have yourself a great week. And I really love your show, Tara.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to find my feet. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm just starting, trying to figure it out. But I have so much fun. And I think that's the point. And that's why things like this conversation today are so important, because for me to continue showing up and being a source of support for other people, I have to ask for it for myself sometimes. So,
Well, and I know you're going to be great at the, what do you call it? Not peer support, recovery support. What was the title?
yeah, you got it right. I'm a peer support specialist. I'm certified to do peer support work in California. Well, I'm actually trained to do peer support work anywhere in the United States or the world. I think there's no limit. But in terms of billing, I'm going to be taking a test probably in February. I'm going to schedule it in February, and then I'll be able to bill Medicaid, Medi-Cal in California, and long-term, potentially other states too. I think I'd like to branch out and work independently, and that's what I'm working on, kind of developing in parallel to doing peer support as a job. I want to get some experience first with an agency that already exists. So I've got like a long game, but yeah, peer support specialist is the name.
Yeah, and I can tell you're going to be great at it. You understand. I mean, you get some of those people. It's like, oh, don't be down. Turn that frown upside down. Like, shut the freak up. And it's so hard to relate, but you've been there, so that makes it, that's great. What do you think is just before? What do you think your biggest challenge is that you have?
Ooh, in life?
Right now?
That's a big question, Ben. My biggest challenge, I think I've got a decent handle on it, but my biggest challenge, I think, is dealing with the ever shifting emotions and not wanting to numb out, like wanting, and I've got a lot of practice in the past few years of like journaling, talking with my therapist. So I feel a little more comfortable with it, but I feel like I still have a lot of work to do in terms of my mental health recovery.
Sure.
So I think that's my biggest challenge, is just continuing on the mental health recovery path.
Well, that is I think that's something that everybody struggles with, well, I think it's something a lot of people struggle with. It's a challenge for a lot of us. So
whether they know it or not,
Yes. Yeah, that's the problem. So many people are out there and they're just unwilling or unknowing, I guess. So but thank you so much. I am so glad you came on. I got to dig in a little bit to Tara a little bit more. That was certainly certainly interesting. I'm glad to see you so much better. I'm sorry I had to leave in the middle of it. My doctor called me and she had some stuff she wanted to discuss with me that's interesting. But may you live in interesting times, I guess, was the Chinese. Actually, I think it was a threat. But anywho, I do hope you have an awesome week. And,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope that whatever that phone call was about turns out well for you.
Yeah, we'll find out.
And it's been a pleasure connecting with you. Thanks for taking the time. Again, I hope to continue seeing you around in all the different places that I've been seeing you.
You take care.
Yeah, you too, Ben. Everyone, thank you so much for everything, all the support. I appreciate all of you.
Bye.
See ya.